Hey guys, welcome to Backwoods Brothers. We haven't seen you in a while. My name is Tony.
And I'm Joel, and welcome back. I know we haven't seen a whole lot over the last month, but we've been having a lot of changes going on. We've redid the studio portion of it. We've got some new staff.
We've got some new staff. That makes us sound uppity. We got some new staff, you guys.
We have a new production manager.
Yes. Isn't his name George?
Yes, George, our new production manager.
He's also an author.
Yeah, he's an author. He was on one of our lives once.
That's right.
The book.
Yeah.
We've got that. We got some new stuff coming out that's going to change a bunch of stuff next month. Like, we're going to go to weekly lives with just you and I, and we're going to do like 1 hour lives every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Tune in.
The first Wednesday of next month.
Yep. We'll be talking about hot topics, so you know what? And we're going to try to get the most current, so
exactly.
Bear with us.
So even up to like maybe 24 hours before the show.
Yeah, he's going to call me late at night and go, I have this topic I want to talk about.
Yes, we're going to talk about potatoes in the Netherlands or something, you know.
Yes! That's what we'll talk about.
Yes.
Good job,
exactly.
Joe.
That's an important one. No. We got that. Then we also got the Backwoods Minutes starting on the 1st of next month.
You know, can I talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, please do.
Those Backwood Minutes are going to be from all of our staff. So the Backwoods Wives, which I think Joel's going to be talking about, as well as Backwoods Brothers. We might even throw in a little extra as that time progresses. And they're just 1 minute, even less. Joel's going to keep me to this. But inspirational types of things that you can think about. We hope that you wrestle with, give some feedback on. But it's just going to be really quick to fit into your busy day.
Exactly. Another big thing is the Backwoods Wives. That's coming up. The video should be released on the 25th. So that should be the first debut of the Backwoods Wives. We had so much fun making that video. Oh, I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. So I'm looking forward to seeing the video put together. Yeah. If you guys really love it, have a lot of great responses to it, get a lot of thumbs up, a lot of comments, things like that to let us know. So that we know if you really like it, we'll try to do it twice a month at minimum.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so they're really excited about it. The Backwoods Wives are literally the wives of the Backwoods Brothers.
Yeah.
Putting the show on. So they'll be making fun of us a little bit.
So we better be on our best behavior because if we get into a fight with our wives...
Watch where you put your hands.
Watch where you put your hands. Oh, we're giving away stuff. Don't be giving away stuff. You have to watch.
It's a hint.
On the 25th. Just a spoiler alert.
Amongst other things they do. You guys are going to love it. So,
you're going to love it.
Yeah, plus... They're also our background crew as well. And you're going to see a Backwoods Wife today.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So should we get into today's show?
Yeah, why don't we jump into that? I mean, I don't think they want to hear about everything we're doing.
I know, we don't want to tell you everything. But do remember to like, share, and subscribe. And please remember that we have merch.
Yes.
We have merch.
Backwoodsbrothers.com. You just go up to the shop, and we got all sorts of stuff that we have on there. And
you see my cool hat?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We're actually making new stuff. I think Brandy, one of our guests today, which is a Backwoods wife, is actually going to be wearing some of our Backwoods gear too.
So if you get to see that, give a shout out to her. So you're going to see some of her Backwoods Wives or Backwoods Brothers gear. So you're going to want to check that out, and as well as hear what we're going to talk about today.
I'm wondering if they may not know. I don't know if the video is showing it now, but we have an empty spot here.
Yes.
And that's because we have another very special guest. Her name is Terrell, and
local community gal.
Yes. And so she is gonna. I'll let her share her reason for why there's a spot there later.
Yes, as a matter of fact, she needs no introduction. This lady, to get to know her, she is just true and true authentic. And so we're going to, well, you know, I could speak forever about her. But today's show, we're going to be talking about disabilities.
Exactly, disabilities. So
this show is really close to my heart. The only reason why I really have this on set is because I'm going to talk a little bit about this. But for now, I'm just going to throw it like we did in one of our promos. You want to throw that?
We're not really going to throw it.
Okay, we're not going to
throw it. Breakable, expensive stuff behind.
It's like my legs, so be careful with it. Oh, he threw it.
I tossed it carefully.
He carefully tossed it.
Yes, and then
you owe me.
Then we have people picking it up for us. Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So today's about disabilities.
Yes, disabilities, but it's not just about disabilities in the case of like yours, which is visible.
Yeah.
Or someone who you see with a limp, or someone who may be in a wheelchair or something. There's visible and there's invisible disabilities, and we're going to talk about both.
We talked a little bit about yours in terms of PTSD. That would be qualified as an invisible disability. And, you know, we were talking in pre-show stuff that everybody could encounter in their life a disability. So this show is not just for what we consider minority, because all of us, if we're living, breathing beings, we could later on in life, heaven forbid, encounter a disability. So this is for you. This is for you. So we invite you to the conversation. There are going to be times where you can enter in, and we want you to do that.
Exactly. We're already going to start as we have established. Please start sending in your questions and comments and concerns now, and they'll start getting them to us. But
make our ladies work.
Load up the questions now, because as always, we have our end of the show. We do a big chunk of period where we answer questions and have our guests answer questions. But you know, we've had a crazy week. I know I had a crazy week working. I know you've had a crazy week in the last little bit. But there was something that has been happening over and over again in our city recently, and it's something that most people don't think about. I really don't think they think about it. But parking on the sidewalk.
Parking on the sidewalk, not your bike.
Not your bike, like an entire vehicle blocking the sidewalk.
Entire vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and most people, they don't think too much of it. Even if they're doing like a quick run into a store or something, they're like, oh, I can just park here, run in and do it.
Yeah.
But they really don't think about it. You got people that may be visually impaired. You got people that have maybe a walking disability, so extra steps matter. You got people that are in chairs that they can't go around, stuff like that. And so then
Joel, what about kids? What about children? What about parents with children?
Exactly. And people that are just walking. I mean, to have to make them move around when you could just pull yourself off the sidewalk is so much easier. I would call that selfish, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You know, we have laws, and laws are really there to protect us. Sometimes we resist laws. Sometimes we want to sidestep laws, but they're really there to protect us. And there's some laws that need to be changed. There's some laws that need to be amended, and we do that. But ultimately, the law I'm going to bring up is ADA, which is the American Disabilities Act. And I did a little bit of research, started in 1990. But this week I encountered a little bit of a obstruction on the sidewalk, and it was a big truck, and it's happened repeatedly. And one thing to let you in on the blind world, I'm visually impaired. There's blind and there's visually impaired. I have sight, but it's not workable sight. A disability is something that impedes your life, that causes you to change the actions that everyone would naturally take. We have to think and try to take those ahead of time. So when there's an object in our way, then we have to assess the situation, think about it. How big is that object? Can that object move and hurt me? Is there a person inside of that object that won't see me? So all those things come into a person's mind when they're trying to navigate a truck on the sidewalk. And that's what I had to do earlier this week, was to navigate around that truck. A visually impaired person learns how to navigate in a line. So where you can take a cross street, you can cross two streets, I have to take a line and travel by lines. So everything is methodical. And when there's an obstruction, I have to go to that obstruction, feel my way around that obstruction, and then come back to center point. And sometimes when you're visually impaired, that's very difficult to come back to center point. If you're veering out into traffic, then there's another problem. And that problem is fatal, possibly. And so this week was a lot of educating maybe drivers on the fact that sidewalks are really for pedestrians, and that
what would you say?
Cars are for, or streets are for people.
It's in the name. Side
walk.
It's not side drive, side park.
Yeah, it's side walk.
And while we're talking about sidewalks now, this really does apply to so many other things. Is the consideration of what you're doing, whether it's whether you're parking on the street and you're blocking potential ramps to get up there, whether you're parking in parking spots with handicap areas, all those different areas all matter. Would you say it kind of applies across the board?
You said consideration. That's a very key word there. I think we as human beings are very egocentric. We start that way as a child. Mine, me, mine. And sometimes we have that little child in us that doesn't consider others. Just point blank.
That's why my wife calls me a child all the time.
That's probably why mine. That was in, yes, that was in one of the movies. Mine. And so, yes, there's a lot of times that we only see like tunnel vision. That's one of the things I'm glad about being visually impaired, because I understand what tunnel vision does. How do you get a blind guy to see? That's very hard to do. How do you get a blind guy to see that can see? That's very hard to do. What I meant by that is to try to explain to a sighted person what it's like to live in a visually impaired or blind world. If they cannot see it, they will not. And so explaining to a driver that can see that maybe 5 minutes inside of a store can be 15 minutes of agony inside of that blind guy's or gal's head just might consider that 5 minutes really is personified in anxiety in what's going to happen. And don't forget, that 5 minutes that you take is that 5 minutes that person doesn't get to walk. So they end up late, which I actually did for my appointment because I had to wait for that driver to decide to move, which the driver did ask me to walk on the street side. And that's when I kind of got a little antsy, and I said, no, why don't you do that? Why don't you just move your car? That person did move their car. And of course, I want to, and my goal is, and I told Joel this too, I'm an advocate for things that matter. And I don't advocate for things that don't matter to me. And the thing that does matter to me, well, God and country, things that do matter to me is my family and my friends, and advocating for those that cannot speak for themselves, and that's the disability.
Exactly. And so I know you really wanted to give a chance to talk for a second about the ADA, and
Yeah.
I believe you had something you wanted to read. And while you're pulling that up real quick, I wanted to let everybody know that I actually went out and I went to the ADA website and I actually grabbed a whole bunch of these PDF downloads, and I'll be posting them on the website after the show so people can review some of the things that we're covering. And that includes laws, requirements, things like that, so people can start to familiarize themselves with what some of those are. But that'll be on the website afterward too.
Yeah, and I want to say something about that. You said educate. It is not, we as disabled people don't get out of educating others. We need to, and it's very important as a disabled person to be able to present ourselves in a way that's an invitation and not a slap on the face because you don't know. It's a collaborative working together. And so I find that we as disabled people need to be on that side of educating people, just letting them know. And one of the things that came up, Joel, this week is someone didn't know what ADA was.
Oh, okay.
And so, it got me, and I'm glad they didn't actually, because it got me to look at what that definition is. Joel, I'm going to try to read it, but I might need you to take it over, because one of the things that I don't do well because of my visual impairment is read. And so it's really, I would say, anxiety provoking, but I'm going to try because I know you guys love me. So the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is ADA, prohibits discrimination against people with, it's really large print, you guys, with disabilities in several areas, including employment, transportation, public accommodations, and I'm going to the next line, communications, and access to state and local government programs and services.
And yeah, I didn't even need to take over. You got it out there, but
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But the one thing that you guys may not understand too is he has a tablet that he blows up. I don't know if that's showing on the screen or not.
I hope you guys can see that. It's about
But
57 font.
yeah, it can get really, really big, almost a character.
Yes.
For like one per character per screen if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
But that's so that he can see. I mean,
Yeah.
That's why we use these. But there's a lot to take in when it is doing it, and it's a lot of people don't always just by hearing it won't get it. So that's why we have this stuff for them to read.
Exactly.
But some people actually do better by kind of like a visual skit type of thing. So
Yeah.
they actually have a video prepared.
Yeah, let me set this up a little bit. All of you guys have heard the show, What Would You Do? And I love this show because they're a group of actors and actresses that go out and simulate certain real world problems. And so this particular one, just to set up for you, is the way that there's a disconnect there could be a disconnect between the disabled world and the able-bodied world. And so we want to show you that disconnect and maybe challenge yourself while you're watching this as to what would you do if you encounter, just watch right now.
What'd you get?
Lemon.
Ooh, can I try?
Only if I can have some of yours.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay.
That's good. It's good mix.
I like it.
Excuse me, ladies.
Hi.
Is this your car?
It's mine. Is there a problem?
Maybe you haven't noticed that you're in the handicap spot.
Oh, I know. I just don't see what the big deal is.
I had to push all the way from the other lot.
You rolled all the way over here. Doesn't seem that hard.
Yeah, I mean, you should really try walking in heels.
It happens all the time. Blatant disregard for handicapped parking spaces. You see two healthy and able women parked in a clearly marked handicap spot. Do you confront them, speak up for the person in the wheelchair, or simply look the other way? What would you do?
Walking in heels? I can't even walk. That's why I need this spot.
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe try getting here earlier next time.
Our actors, Lauren and Madison, are illegally parked in the handicap spot next to Rita in Old Bridge, New Jersey.
Excuse me, ladies. I don't know if you noticed you parked in a handicap spot.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know, you weren't here when we got here, so
I understand, but that's why they designed this spot for us.
This father and son listen in as Damon pleads for that parking space.
I just need this spot because it's more easier and convenient for me.
Well, you made it, so.
Yeah, you're still, you're on wheels. You can just wheel back.
Girls, wouldn't it make sense just to move the car for them?
I don't know, I feel like we were here already, so.
You have handicap plates on the car?
No. But
It's against the law to park that way.
I know, but we were here, so.
The spot was empty.
Can you read?
I don't know, have you ever walked in heels?
Yeah,
It's kind of a handicap.
That's a struggle.
With his words falling on deaf ears, this young son has dad's back.
Well, he's handicapped. He can't walk.
I know, but he has a chair. He's okay.
He's wheeling around.
What do you want us to do?
We'll just have them call the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna be here when they get here anyway. We're gonna be done, so you
We're
can
just
call.
finishing our ice
We'll take
cream.
the plate number.
Okay, go ahead. That's fine.
Excuse me, sir, how are you? I'm John Quinones. This is part of a TV show called What Would You Do?
Oh.
They're actors. No second thought about getting involved, huh?
No, not at all.
And you spoke up. Why is it important to say something?
Because they were doing the wrong thing.
The fact your son is with you,
I would hope if I wasn't here, he'd do the same thing. That's how I raised my boys.
we roll again.
Excuse me, ladies. Do you know you parked in a handicap spot?
This next family is looking to cool down with a frozen treat.
Yeah, no, I know. I just don't see what the big deal is.
I had to push from all the way up the hill.
Instead, they find themselves in a heated exchange.
Well, you should have gotten here sooner.
Yeah, we got here first.
It doesn't matter if you're here first. It's a handicap spot. It's against the law for you to park there.
Oh, I didn't see
Can't believe you're arguing with me.
No, but the point is it's against the law to park a handicap and check a handicap sticker. Do you have one?
No, I
But
don't.
there's no one here.
But he's
Excuse me,
here
this
and
gentleman wants to park
Right,
there.
right.
Please move your car. What's
People do it all the time, right?
Oh, how about we call the police then? How about that?
Why don't you just mind your business? Like, we've got this. It's okay.
Excuse me? How about I'll call the police, then we can talk to them.
Honestly, we're gonna be out of here sooner.
I know. We're gonna be gone. It's fine. You could move. It'll be okay.
Just in case, she takes a picture of their plates. Well, you really spoke out.
Well, because it's insensitive. I know sometimes when I'm looking for a place to park, it's frustrating. There's handicap spots.
Certainly
I have to
seems
go.
convenient, right?
Yeah, and I think, oh man,
But it's not
But it's
okay.
not if someone needs to park there. So.
All day long, customers struggle to keep their cool as they stand up for Damon.
Not even talking to him in a decent way. You're belittling the guy and he needs you.
I offered to wheel him back to his car. Yeah. I think you should mind your own business. We're almost done.
I'm not the one to talk to you like that. I'm different.
You're the one
I'm not
talking
this
to me.
neighbor.
You guys gotta stop. You guys gotta leave. You guys gotta leave right now.
I'm not leaving.
What kind of human beings are you guys?
Are you kidding
me? Are you retarded?
No, I'm parked here. I was here first.
Say you're sorry to the gentleman.
He's on wheels.
He's rolling. He's fine.
He's fine.
Don't even open up your mouth, really. Close it.
And now we switch things up, and Damon prepares to confront the women from his car. The process shows us how complicated it is for the disabled to get in and out of their vehicles, and the importance of designated spaces. But before Damon even arrives,
Too much. That's handicap.
for the first time all day, without Damon present, these customers call out our bullies. And when Damon pulls up,
You know you parked in a handicap spot. I'm in a wheelchair.
I know. I was just here first. We're gonna order and then we'll be out.
Leonore Cohen refuses to stand down.
If they need handicap, they should be able to use handicap. You're not handicapped, thank God. You need to
No,
move
but
your car.
I don't see the big deal.
It is a big deal.
You can park in the back.
And you'll get a ticket.
You'll get a ticket.
Okay,
You can
go
only
for
call.
it.
It's a law. It's called a law. It's not like, oh, because I'm pretty at the park wherever the
That's
hell I
fine.
want.
Let the police come. They can talk to us. I mean,
You're just too stupid. You're just way too stupid. I can't waste my time talking to you.
Hi, Guy. How are you? Hi there.
Hello.
I'm John Quinones.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
You all right? It's the show, What Would You Do?
And I don't like watching the show because I was hoping I'd never be on it.
What was it about this situation?
I used to work in hospital, and there's a lot of handicapped people, and we have handicapped people in our family, and
So
it's
many.
wrong. It's a law.
So you have to call the police.
Yeah.
Your message to people who do this sort of thing?
Think about the other person. Follow the rules.
It's not right. It doesn't matter who you are. You need to obey the law.
Hey guys, welcome back to this. Man, we are trying to get ourselves sorted out here, and it's been a lot of fun today.
It's good, yeah, yeah.
The biggest thing is these wonderful things. These are actually kind of like a swamp cooler. it's otherwise it would be like 200 degrees in this area in our studio otherwise, because we don't have central AC here.
That's right.
We sweat through it for you guys. But yeah, so hopefully you guys got a chance to really see the video, kind of understand what's there, and get a different perspective on what would you do and what people would do. So what are your thoughts, Tony?
You know, the question of what would you do, everybody can do something, see something, say something. Maybe even if you encounter the same thing that I encountered, which was not being able to make it around a truck. If you're a pedestrian and you were walking and you saw that I was having trouble making it around, asking for assistance or asking me if I needed help, or asking a person who has a disability with if they needed help would be a welcome thing, a great thing. So see something, say something, but don't be that person that kind of dismisses someone else's struggle. This is not just talking about struggles though, guys. This is not a show to go woe is us, because we're going to be talking about accommodations. So there are a lot of accommodations. We've come a long way with disability services.
Tremendously.
Long way, right?
Oh yeah, from what it used to be, and like whether it be the military PTSD considerations, and their attempts all the way down to, I think even I hear they're trying to reconstruct all along 224, all of the sidewalks to make sure they're all ADA compliant and have those new ramps on them, fix some of the issues. And I think even you and I the other day found some things that during some conversations with Terrell that I never thought about.
Yeah,
there's little bumps right before you get to the ramps.
Yes,
and
everybody's seen those.
Yeah, there's little bumps, and you get to the ramps, and then sometimes because the cars are driven on and the road has kind of moved a little bit over time, and it, those actually are hard for people in chairs to go over because it's bumping and it's catches and stuff. Yeah. Or even people like yourself with the cane, they can't see things, they catch on those and they cause a tripping hazard. So little things that we may not even notice or think about, those are things that I've been starting to notice more, and even as a city, someone who, as a community member and as a city councilor, as something to consider.
It's great that actually, since you mentioned that, it's great to have someone who is able-bodied but mindful of the whole city and the whole and what each member in of our population could benefit from. I was going to say this too. I learned a lot from Terrell, who's going to be up next. I cannot wait. We titled this segment "Life on Wheels," so we already gave you a little bit of a hint. But she's an excellent lady, and even as I was, and hopefully she doesn't mind I said this, but even in pouring her water, as a person with a disability, visually impaired person, VIP, I did not pour it quite right. I wasn't thinking about the details. And so Terrell was, like she is, the advocate for herself, gently nudged me and told me, don't forget this, don't forget. It was really nice. So even people with disabilities can learn from other people with disabilities. And that's the cool thing about this show.
We never stop learning.
We never stop learning. My professor said that, don't.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that our viewers can definitely learn is that it costs money to put the show on.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So definitely check out our sponsors.
Sponsors?
Those are good ones, which we'll be showing on the break here in a second.
Okay.
And also, don't forget to check out our merchandise because it helps support the show and helps us get the word out and stuff. So if you enjoy the show, please continue to support us.
And we're looking for more interaction, guys. So if you have show ideas, please like, share, subscribe, but also let us hear your ideas. We want to hear that, okay?
Exactly.
And so with that,
we're gonna go to break.
All right.
So check out our sponsors and thanks for joining us. And we'll see you back here.
Before we go,
yes,
I got to do this.
He's trying to make fun of the Hurt Feelings.
The Hurt Feelings Brigade. As a matter of fact, you got to check out some of that merch. You'll see what we're talking about. All right.
Thanks, guys, and we will see you guys soon in about 4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes. See you soon. Okay, sorry.
Go.
Oh, we're on? Oh, hey, I guess we're on.
Welcome back to Backwoods Brothers, where anything can happen.
Yeah, so apparently we're still getting the hang with our new staff on notifying us when we're back online.
But you know what? He not only can work a computer, but there's other hidden talent. Oh,
There we go. Now we're good.
Oh, we're good.
Hey, welcome to Backwoods Brothers again, and where it's a party. We have a special guest with
Yeah,
us.
Terrell, hey, welcome.
Hey.
Hey, so basically Terrell's here to talk to us about obviously a very unique perspective, and I would consider her an expert in her field. Why don't you tell us a little more about who you are and kind of what makes you an expert in this field?
Well, I'm Terrell Hoffman, and I actually have been in HR. Well, started out part-time in 1996. Well, actually, no, 1984 was my first NRA. Full-time in HR since 1996. And I've been through the changes of the ADA from the very beginning when there was no such thing as a power door. Which was, and then when the power doors first came and they were set for able-bodied people and somebody in a chair, it was right over your head. Would not open the power doors. And, the little things and watching things grow when curb cuts didn't exist. When handicap parking is frightening and they didn't exist. So I went through all that over the years. 18 years ago, adopted a little girl who also was a wheelchair user. Best thing I could have ever done in my entire life. So the two of us get to explore the world together on wheels, and it's a blast because to us, our goal is to make people smile and to bring awareness. And if a barrier comes up, how do we get over it while bringing other people with us and educate them on how to help remove that barrier for the next people to come through? Because that's our goal.
Can I actually go back? Because she's like giving it to us both barrels, and I'm loving it. There's a lot of stuff that happened. So I want to go back. You adopted?
Yeah, I adopted right in
young lady on wheels.
Yep. And
tell us about that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but real quick. By the way, those who are watching, if you don't, I'm sure most people know who he is. Absolutely awesome. Loves her law enforcement and people serve.
Yeah.
And she serves them back. But I want to give her some shout out on this one. She does what we call a heart attack.
Yep.
And she will go out to firefighters, law enforcement. She even did it to the ECW or to the SK Community Watch. And she puts these hearts up all over the place that say positive messages. Yep. That is the heart of what Terrell has raised in this young lady.
Well, and that's why we want to set it up with us getting to know this young lady. So
Exactly.
tell us how you did that. What happened?
I've tried to raise Brighton with, you do not have to be able to stand up to stand out.
Yeah.
So she may be on wheels. She may, when the kid went to kindergarten, she was wearing size 0 to 3 month pants, 9 to 12 month shirts. She was a little tiny bitch. But that didn't mean she could make a difference. And that's what I always told her, was you can make a difference. You guys are all sitting around together. You're all sitting on your buns. You're equal. Talk. Make a difference. How can you change the world? Somebody's having a bad day. Remind them what's good about them. Remind them what's good about your day. Every night we have a tradition of every night we list 5 things that are positives about our day.
Yeah.
And then every morning before you get out of bed, you have to read those 5 things because that sets your tone for the day. And so we're done. She loves the police. In fact, for her senior trip, she did not want to go anyplace fun. Well, no, it is going to be fun. But her senior trip, she wants to travel the United States and do heart attacks at police stations because she feels like they're just being so drained. And she wants to lift them up and let them know they can't hear us, but we see them and they matter and we need them and they're important to us and we're praying for them. And, her country and God, and it's just so important to her. And these people defend our country and our communities.
Who is she? Like, how did she become involved in your life? What happened?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I've been trying to adopt. At the time, speaking of ADA, at the time, Oregon still had a law that if you were on wheels, you could not adopt.
Wow.
We were fighting to change that. Because we're talking 2000. Still was a law you could not adopt if you were disabled. 2002, state of Connecticut had a little girl. Before she was born, I was told, probably wouldn't live, but do I want her? Every kid needs a mom and dad. Yes. Every kid needs a parent. Everybody needs somebody who loves them. And I was on a plane as soon as I could. 108 days later, she finally got to come home. amazing little kid. She's had her challenges. If anyone wants to follow her, it's hashtag Bright and Strong on Facebook.
Bright and strong.
Bright and Strong. And
On
she
Facebook.
has overcome everything. She was not supposed to live, and she has, because of her heart for others and because of her determination. Because when she's at her lowest, when she's in the hospital and they're saying, "You're not going to go home this time," this kid says, "Well, I got to, because, you know, this police station, this policeman was injured. We need to go put hearts there. Oh, there's a fire over here. These firefighters are tired. We've got to go put hearts there." Recently, some people probably saw all the hearts over at Estacada High School.
Yeah.
When those kids passed away in the accident, my kid, for her graduation party, instead of the focus being her, she wanted everybody to do green hearts so she could put them on the school to uplift the community. So here it's her graduation party, all about her, and what she wanted was for everybody to leave a positive message to help the high school kids. And that's my kid. She's always wanting to uplift others, because if you uplift others, you uplift the community, and then you uplift yourself. It's like when you give, you get it back 10 times.
Oh, so
You know,
much.
it's so powerful.
And I mean, even I remember during the vigil, when the mic was opened up to allow others to speak, there was nothing. And then, because people were afraid. And I saw the courage and it made me smile. My heart lit up, and I saw Brighton coming out there. And she was the first one to speak, and before you know it, the floodgates, people speaking.
And I love that everything she speaks is always
Yeah.
includes God, includes Jesus, because that's one thing she kept saying up there at the vigil was, we need to be together, we need to pray together, we need Jesus. He said, one who's going to get us through this. And she's not ashamed of that. She sees a stranger in tears, my kid will go up to him and pray with them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's not afraid. We're out, I don't know what town we were in, but anyway, my kids saw someone in uniform. Well, it just said police department. There was somebody who was a receptionist, and my daughter just veered over, not the direction we were going, straight up to him and said, "I need to pray with you." And the lady looked at her and she goes, "I don't know, but I just need to pray with you."
Yeah.
And my kid took her hand and prayed with her. And the lady just broke into tears, and she said, "I was out walking because I just didn't know if I could take another call. I was a dispatcher. I didn't know if I could do it, if I could just go back to my job. I'm just ready to quit." She goes, "I can do it now. I can do it now. Somebody saw me." And it's like she follows, God speaks to her and she follows. And if I could have half of her faith, I would have it made.
Well, it had to come from somewhere, first of all. I'm adopted, so if you didn't see a child that needed to have, like you said, every child needs a parent. You instilled some of that in her. I know that you are in a chair, but you're looking out. You're not looking in at your circumstances, you're looking out. And so you taught your daughter to look out and to actually be bold. I remember, do you remember this? But she came to church one day and I was like, "Hi, Brighton." She goes, "Tony, you're black." Do you remember that? She goes, "Why are you black?" And I just remember, you guys, I'm like, "Well, because I'm like, they dipped me in chocolate and saw all this kind of stuff." And she's like, and Mom was so mortified. Mom was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Mom, don't even worry. I'd rather someone say it than think it." You know? So it was like, she's so bold and so loving. So I knew the heart in which she said it was just so, "I love you. I'm just stating the obvious of what I see." So she's able to see people who are hurting. She's able to see people who need something, and that is a gift for a person with a disability.
I tries to raise her that you may have a disability, but it doesn't have you.
Whoa.
You have a diagnosis.
Yes.
You are a child first.
Yes.
And the real power that you have is you do not have to get up to go do anything. You just go.
Can I build off of that real quick there for a minute? And that's the people sometimes they look at someone with a disability and they think that they're either half a person or they're less than capable, or they feel like they need to do something to be there to make up for what they may be missing. People don't realize that you guys are, whether it be Tony, whether it be you, whether it be my own wife, which you'll see here in a while, you're still fully capable people. You're people, no different than anyone else that doesn't have a disability. You have the heart, the thoughts, and you have the ability to do so many things. And Brighton is a key example of that. She's challenged with being in a wheelchair, but she does. I've seen her do more loving and caring acts
Yeah.
in her condition and touch more lives than I've seen, people that are famous and on TV and things.
Yep.
And it extends out. And so I think it's so important for people to realize that just because someone may be, missing an eye or in a chair, that you guys are exact same.
Wow.
Because in some cases, you guys are superheroes because you guys get that extra ability that we miss when we don't have a disability.
Yeah, I think in some ways we have a different vision because, I joke that I can see things from a different angle, but I've lived through you're not one of us, you can't do this, we don't need your help, you can't. I've been there, and I will never do that to someone else because I know that feeling, because I know what I can do. Give me a chance. Am I going to be able to lift a box, put it on top shelf? Absolutely not. But you know what? There's going to be something I can do. And give people a chance to do something. You've got to give them a chance to be involved. I used to run a group for kids in wheelchairs, and the one thing I always said was, even the kids who have absolutely no voice, no mobility, they're the most outspoken when you give them a chance. Can they smile? They just changed somebody's life. Put two things in front of them and say, which one do you want? They'll choose. All you got to do is give people a chance to succeed, and they will. Quit defining success by your abilities and starting defining it by their abilities.
Exactly. And it's I think everybody's life has a subjective position to it. And you can't have that subjective opinion on someone else's life because you're not in that position. And so all you can do is try to give your opinions based upon your views, and you need to be able to step out of that.
Yeah.
Well, we can only see through the lens that we've lived. So if you've never seen somebody, you've never experienced anybody with a disability in your family or a friend or anything, then you don't know, you've never looked through that lens. It's like if you've never seen the ocean, how do you know what the ocean looks like?
Right.
And so you've got to be willing to listen, and you've got to be willing to learn. And you've got to understand that everybody in chair is going to need something different. Every disability is different. I have a picture on my wall of my daughter trying to hit a button, a power door button, to open a power door for a wheelchair. Got the wheelchair lock on it. It's got the diagram, everything. My kid can't reach it. It's above her head. And it says define accessible. Because we all have, and even able-bodied people, you think you're able-bodied, you all have limits. They're just, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I got a friend who's a great mountain climber, and you put a ski on their feet, and they are all over the ground.
That's it.
Everybody's got their limits of what they can do.
Everybody has limitations.
Yep.
That's so good. One of the things is about you is that you don't accentuate your limitations. You don't make those a thing. How do you kick yourself in the tail to make it day by day and to be a success?
I am blessed, and I know that. I am blessed. Number one, I should never have survived my injury. So I am blessed to be alive. I am blessed to have the most amazing kid on the planet, and I'm not at all biased. But
she's not.
Yeah, no. But I have an amazing kid who reminds me every day of what matters.
Yeah.
She sees the little things that I sometimes overlook. And it reminds me, we are blessed. We have everything. There is nothing that we need.
Yeah.
We can think we want things. It doesn't mean we need them. We've got each other. We've got everything. I get frustrated at times. Things like I'm fighting to get my chair fixed, and it's been 5 months, and I cannot get my chair fixed. My chair duct taped together because I can't get a stupid part. It's frustrating, but at the same time, I look at my kid and I go, "She's alive. I'm alive. Duct tape's working. Let's go." You have to look at what you have, not what you don't have. It's all about your focus, and I try really hard to stay positive focused. I have a sign inside the door of my house. It was inside my grandmother's house. It was inside my mom's house. It's now inside my house. Facebook marked it as dangerous, but all the sign says, as you start out the door, last thing we see is, have you prayed about it? So when you go out, it's like, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Have you prayed about it? Is it where you want to go? Is it, if God's in control, everything is amazing. The minute you put it in your own hands, I guarantee you're going to mess it up. It's not going to go good.
If it weren't for your faith, would you be able to speak the way you're speaking right now?
If it wasn't for my faith, I would not be alive. I would definitely not be alive. I would have given up a long time ago, and I have no doubt about that.
Wow.
My faith is no one else is there at 2 o'clock in the morning. No one else is there when I'm struggling with health issues. I mean, I've got some other stuff that I'm like trying to deal with. There is no one else there that I can actually just talk to. I can cry with. I can be honest with, and not be judged. I can spit it all out there and then find a peace, and no one else is going to give me that. And then I can go on with life and know I am okay. I'm going to be okay. Am I going to hit barriers and not be able to do certain things? Yes. My thought on that is, if God wanted me to do that, there'd be a path. He's got something better for me. And it's just not always easy. And sometimes, yeah, I will sit there and like pound my head against the door before finally go, I've got a really bad headache and I can't get through. Maybe I should go the other way.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not the person who's just going to quit without at least knocking a few times. But sometimes it's just God saying, I got something better over here.
Exactly. So, you know, seek and you shall knock and the door will be open, seek and you shall find. So.
What do you want your legacy to be?
That everybody can. I want people to see that everybody can. Don't ever look at somebody and say they are disabled. Look at them and say they are a human who has a disability. Don't define them by their disability.
Don't define them by your disability.
Let me say that
Because
again.
I'm not my chair.
Don't define them by the
By their
disability.
I've been in meetings where I honestly was told by someone, I don't want to sound rude, but when you're in a wheelchair, we're not sure how intelligent you are. And I usually look at them and I say, it's better to keep some things to yourself.
Well, I mean, someone the other day you were telling me, I think that said, if you're disabled or I think you're blind to little work or something like that. What was that?
Yeah.
saying that said to you?
There was a Facebook insinuation as a response to what happened to me this week of, you don't have somewhere necessarily to go very fast, so you can wait. Not knowing that, hey, I happen to own a private practice, because people with disabilities are very successful. The lady you're going to be meeting soon, is, of course, is I say Joel's better half, but they are so well together. Best half, he says. But she is leading a nonprofit as well as other things, and they own small businesses. So it's just, it's interesting that people would lump a physical difficulty to a cognitive one.
Exactly.
That's a jump.
Their lack of experience with anybody in a chair leads them to assume everybody's that way.
Yeah.
And it's in a lot of ways, it's where stereotypes come from. People do that with skin color. People do that with hair color, blondes. People do it with, and with disabilities they do it. Yeah. And it's interesting because we need to get beyond that. And unfortunately, what I find is anytime you try to bring up the things with disabilities, people say, right now, that's not the time. Right now, this group matters. Right now, that group matters. Right now, this group matters. And you say, hey, time out. Nope, it's not the time right now. And it's so frustrating because it's like, do you understand that we all matter?
Yes.
And if we would just let everybody matter,
matter,
we could talk about
yes.
what would make it easier for everyone to matter. Things like
that's true.
Yeah.
If you don't think you matter, you're not going to enter
stairs, we can all access it. So
yes.
Let's build ramps instead of stairs.
Yeah.
And getting people to understand that, it's so hard. And I think it's their own fear. And I believe there's two types of ignorance. I believe there's honest ignorance, and I believe that there's the scared ignorance.
Yeah, the scared.
The people there's the honest ignorance where people actually had no clue. And then there's that I need to remain ignorant because otherwise I have to admit I'm wrong. And I am not self-secure enough to say that I'm wrong. So I'm going to defend my stance. Even though I am now falling off a cliff, I'm still going to hold on to the fact that I'm right. Because I don't have enough self-confidence to say I'm right. And sometimes I have to back off and say, they're not ready to hear it yet. Because they're not in a place where they can. What do I need to give them so that they can hear me?
What do I need to give them so they can hear me?
Exactly. And I think the big thing is anyone who's listening should definitely be taking this into consideration that, if the person that's speaking is saying, what do I need to do to get them to hear it, means that maybe you should be asking yourself, am I listening? Am I listening?
Good.
So there's something actually that was popped back into here that you mentioned earlier that I wanted just to loop back around to. And it says, you said it was marked as dangerous when that saying.
Wait, say it again.
it was marked as dangerous. That the saying when it says
Have you prayed?
Have you prayed? Have you prayed was marked dangerous by
Facebook. It was threatening. Facebook listed it as a threatening and intimidating post. It contained violence.
It was a picture. It was a picture of.
Have you prayed? All
And
it said.
so, yeah, and I mean that's where our world's at today. Sadly, that's where our world's at today. It's something that far offset. It's simple. Have you prayed today? I mean, praying can relate to anyone, to pretty much any religion out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It didn't even say Jesus or anything else. It just said it's just. I think it was a set of praying hands, isn't it, or someone kneeling or something?
Nope. It just looks like a piece of wood, and it just says have you prayed.
Yeah, exactly. And so I mean, and that's how far we've gone to one side.
But you know, the interesting part about that is, Terrell, you're used to overcoming obstacles, even those on Facebook. So how did you receive that obstacle there?
I just replied to him back, and I said, please reread what it says. That, and maybe I shouldn't, but on my post I also said I will pray for your response.
There you go. There you go.
And it was like I knew that I hadn't done anything wrong to offend anybody because the thing was posted in response to somebody saying, "What do you have that reminds you of your grandmother?" And that's what I have. And,
wow.
But one thing I've learned is when people react to something that has nothing to do with me, it has to do with them. I've had people very upset about my chair being in their way, not because my chair is in their way, because they're going through something at their moment that they can't handle.
I think that's actually, you make a good point, and then that is that sometimes we get so busy walking like this that we don't take a minute to do this and just look around a little bit, see the people around us, because I think if we actually lifted our head long enough to take a look and actually see the people, I'm not talking about just physically, I'm talking about, seeing them as who they are, talking to them, interacting with them, paying attention, then we might actually start to understand a little bit better about the people that are around us, and that they're, taking into consideration of not parking on the sidewalk, or, that you're just as able as anyone else out there. There may be some things like we all have. I can't juggle. You can't reach high things on the shelf.
Yep.
And I definitely can't jump.
I don't climb upstairs.
I can tell you something. I don't like bending over to put things on lower shelves, but I guarantee you're probably great at it. So, I mean, there's
things you can't do either because of your back, because of your military service. So
exactly.
there's things.
Not even talk about the disability. I'm talking about just people. Even if all of us, if you take out the disability portion of it, we all have our limitations.
We have our limitations.
I'm not a professional football player because I'm not good at football.
You're not?
Yeah.
No, I'm not a good football.
You didn't let me know this before we started.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not a professional football player.
Gosh. Anyways,
so, but I mean, we all have our things we can and can't do. Stop thinking because someone has a disability that they're fully disabled. They can't do anything else. Yes. They're fully. I want to say the reward the word disabled. Everybody is perfectly capable. I think they're differently able. I think we're all
differently
that term,
able.
Okay.
Doesn't fly. But one thing we say is don't diss my ability.
Don't diss my ability.
There you go. Boom.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
don't diss it.
I want to come back to the differently able part, and I think it applies to everybody in the world, whether you have, and it's because we all have different abilities. Like for your job, I don't know if you want to put that out there or not, but we do. So, but what your job, I guarantee you are a million times better at it than I would ever be, and you probably have a million patience for what you do, a ton of patience. I wouldn't have that ability to do it. So we all have different abilities. What you do for your job in your practice, I don't have that ability because I would lose my mind. but at the same time, I don't think you guys could sit there, and for what I do for my full-time job is I'm a cybersecurity analyst.
There's no way I can do your job.
I don't think,
That's not my construct.
So what I'm trying to say is, and we all have we're all differently able to do different things. We have different talents.
The thing with that phrase is, it gets applied to people with disabilities. Do you ever hear it applied to an able-bodied person?
And what I was trying to do there is trying to turn it around to show that it shouldn't be applied to someone that has a This shouldn't diss your ability.
Yeah.
But it's that term applies to the person speaking as much as it does to anyone else. So, and it starts basically the whole. I'm trying to come back around to is look at us as a human race.
Well, and look for your strengths. Don't look for where you're foul.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. My thing is work on your strengths. Work on your strengths. Your weaknesses, they'll follow, but work on your strengths.
Exactly.
Let me say this before we go.
Yeah.
How is your sense of humor with your disability?
Oh my goodness, I honestly probably have the most warped sense of humor when it comes to medical stuff and my disability. I mean, it's like if I flip my chair, I expect somebody to score at 1 to 10. How was my landing? How, you know, I mean, it's like you gotta laugh because you know what? This is reality.
Yes.
This is life. And if you take it too serious, you can have yourself locked in the house for fear that nothing's gonna go right. I have to laugh. I have to enjoy it. I've taught my daughter the same thing. That you know what? You go out, you joke about it. It's like we've done some really, really dumb things, and then we sit and look at each other, and we both burst out laughing, and everybody around us might look mortified. But pretty soon we have them laughing too, because we're laughing and we're okay to go, they're okay. And it's like, a message is like, we want to get out to people, and I don't know if anybody watched, it was a Josh Blue. And one thing he says is it's okay to laugh at the disabled guy.
It's okay to laugh at, and with.
Yeah, I don't think it's with.
Yeah, laugh
with,
at the table.
that's why I changed that in the middle. I'm like, laugh with me.
Yeah,
but you can laugh at me if I give you an invitation.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say this real fast. You know, I said this to Joel. Why did Helen Keller burn her ear?
Why?
Because she tried to answer the iron. How did Helen Keller burn her other ear? They called back.
They called back.
Just had to put that out there.
There you go.
Well, we're actually at the time where we get to take another break, which is great because it's an oven in here. I need to, go take a dip in a cool pool or something. I don't know.
If you have that long.
But we really appreciate everybody joining us. We're going to have another quick little round about our sponsors, so please support our sponsors. And
let me tell you the title to the next one. It's not a crutch. Not a tumor. It's not a crutch.
Exactly. So join us. We're going to have Brandy on the next one. Yes. And we'll get a chance to chat with her a little bit about her not dissing her abilities.
That's right.
And then, and then also don't forget, if you haven't yet, please take a minute to like, subscribe, join us on YouTube, share, check out our merchandise on backwoodsbrothers.com, support the cause. And don't forget, it's have a little positive, look at your strengths. There's some good messages on here. So
yes.
So, okay, we'll see you guys shortly.
Lupus is hard to describe.
How would I describe lupus?
Like you have lupus?
People don't realize that it's painful, physically and mentally.
Lupus is like the bully at school that you always try to avoid, but it always finds you, beats you up, and takes something away. Your friends, your energy, or even your ability to do simple things.
It's unpredictable and hard for others to see.
It's like waking up every morning to your own personal game of the lupus lottery.
You now have chronic pain, extreme fatigue, and kidney failure.
It's hard to understand.
Lupus is hard to wrap your head around.
The simplest way I can describe it is
the never-ending flu.
Lupus is a chronic autoimmune condition where your immune system starts to attack self. In lupus, that attack can be on any organ system in the body, which makes it difficult to diagnose. It's a chronic disease. There's no cure. It tends to target women between the ages of 15 and 45, and women of color are 4 times more likely to develop lupus.
It's hard to live with.
Imagine driving a car, but your taillights are out, your tires are going flat, your parking brake is engaged, you're leaking fuel, but yet you still have to figure out how to merge onto this interstate at a high speed. You have to still do it. That's what living with lupus is like.
It's hard to treat.
Lupus feels like you are in a boxing match and you are blindfolded with your hands tied behind your back and you're supposed to fight. How can you fight?
It's difficult to diagnose because every patient can look a little differently. There is no cure for lupus, but there are medications out there that can help treat the disease.
Lupus is hard,
but you're not alone.
I get answers I need on lupus on lupus.org.
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 Welcome back to Backwoods Brothers. Okay, we have the big cheese. Okay, just joking. This is the most awesome lady in the world. I call her my sister. Joel calls her his love and the love of his life. And her name is Brandy, and she's the other Backwoods Brothers' wives. So give a big shout out to her. We're so excited to have you.
Backwoods sister, it is Backwoods wife, Brandy.
Sister. Sister, I'm her sister. I mean, I'm her brother.
What's going on here?
That's a whole nother show, guys. I think
the brain's starting to overheat over
Wow, it is hot in her. Okay.
It is really hot.
Here.
Sorry, yeah,
Okay, we can't go on from there. Anyways, we're glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
You want you hit her with the first question?
Well, first of all, we're probably gonna scare her off the stage if we can't.
Yes, if we can't get it together.
If we can't stop singing,
yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So first of all, let's just give you a second to talk a little bit about who you are. But first of all, this is a great chance for you to plug your upcoming show on this Friday, the 25th.
Oh yeah, the 25th or
25th.
Oh, cool. I've been saying the 26th, so I had it all wrong. So yeah, we're doing Backwoods Wives. It's gonna be awesome. His lovely wife is on the show with me, and we get to make fun of these two knuckleheads and some also some other funny rednecks with no teeth and some people doing dumb stuff. It's really funny. It's really funny. We had a ball. I mean, I had a stomach ache for hours after that show.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, there's a lot about me.
Well, aren't you wearing some gear?
Yeah, I am. I created this shirt.
Yeah.
It says no high fives for you because there was a promo way back when you guys were doing a promo.
Yeah.
And Tony went to high five Joel, and Joel missed the cue.
I like
and
that.
So, and so someone put on the screen no high fives for you. So I made a shirt about it, and then I got my Backwoods Brothers headband.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah,
which
it
is awesome.
is awesome. And it looks so cool. Like, and not like this, like,
Nice
rad.
and chill.
Yes,
Like,
in our
when
106
it's
degree
hot.
weather this weekend.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
So, I mean, and that's a great kind of transition into the hot weather coming up, which it's supposed to be 111 degrees on Sunday.
know. I'm not a fan.
Wow, like,
This is there. There's a part where there's covered parking, and we will be there cooling everyone down. It'll be outside, so it is handicap accessible.
Yes.
We will have big, huge kiddie pools full of ice water and fans and misters, and we'll have cold drinks and water and Gatorade and anything you could think of. We're going to try to do some cooling sponges and cooling scarves or whatever we can do to keep people cool.
Exactly.
And we're going to do that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
bring your pets, right?
Yes, bring your pets, bring your
pets,
elderly, bring your disabled, bring your able-bodied. Everybody's welcome.
So you talk about disabilities, and so I want to jump right in and ask you, Brandy, before meeting you, I had no idea, and I still don't have an accurate idea of what lupus is. I did some research. I know that typically it's you find that the women having lupus more than men, even though I have a friend who absolutely has a lupus. So it sparked my interest in what is it? How do you cope with it? What is it? Give us the whole thing.
Okay, so what is lupus? There's a lot to it. Most people are diagnosed. They say during the years you can give birth because it's mostly women. So most people are diagnosed between like 15 to 45. I was diagnosed at 9, which was very rare. At the time I was diagnosed, I was told I had 5 years to live. Of course, medicine got better, and that is obviously not the case. It is an autoimmune disorder, a disease. It causes it's just growing pains, whatever, but my mom was pretty amazing. She was my advocate. She knew exactly that something was not right. She advocated for me. She got me in those doctors. And then from there, it went from, I had the butterfly rash, which is a classic symptom of lupus, and some other things. I won't go into grave detail because there's a lot. But yeah, that's how it started, was with pain. And the one thing people don't realize about lupus is it's extremely painful. We function at a level of pain that most people couldn't even imagine. I mean, even going into surgery, going in and having an accident, that level of pain, imagine that every day of your life. That's what we function at. So that's pretty much all I can say without being here for an hour or two.
for chronic pain, there is this existence of pain.
Right.
And then there's flare-ups within the existence of pain. Is your baseline of pain?
Yeah. My
I said a lot
baseline
there.
is pain is probably like, think about if you got run over by a truck and it's like a couple weeks later, you had all your surgeries and you're still like in quite a bit of pain. You don't feel like doing anything. You really feel achy all over, but you also have like some deep bone pain. That's like my everyday. And then the flare-ups are like, okay, I just had the accident. So that's kind of the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and well, despite all those challenges you do, you bust your butt for the community every day. And people, I think, miss the disability behind that and the cost of it. And you taught me about the spoon theory.
Yeah.
Early on.
Spoon theory.
You only have so many spoons in a day.
You only have so many spoons in a day. So the basis behind the spoon theory, Christina, I always ruin her name, so look up the spoon theory and it'll tell you who the author is. She's a fellow lupus patient. She was sitting at a diner with her friend, and her friend says, I don't get it. I don't understand lupus. How can I understand you more? Which, by the way, is a huge thing for me. If someone were to come up to me and say, not tell me how to make myself better, not give me a false cure, but say, hey, how can I understand you better? That's a big deal. And she said, how am I going to explain this to her? So she grabbed all the spoons on all the tables and said, okay, this is how I'm going to put it to you. You have this many spoons, and you only have this many spoons for the day. She gave her like 10, 12 spoons or whatever. And she says, every little action you do in a day requires a spoon. And that spoon, once you're out of spoons, you can't do anything. You're done. There's nothing you can do. You can try to borrow spoons from the next day, but you got to remember, if you borrow spoons from the next day, then your next day you're not going to have as many spoons. So she even went through a scenario, okay, so you're going to get up out of bed. You're going to get up out of bed. She's like, what would you do in the morning? Well, I get up out of bed, I go brush my teeth, I go take my shower, and she says, hold on a second, wait a second, wait. So getting out of bed, take a spoon. Getting up and getting into the bathroom, here's another spoon. Brushing your teeth, spoon. Taking a shower, it's another spoon. And then what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go eat some breakfast. Okay, so pouring your cereal and your But I used to not be vocal about, okay, I'm done. I would just keep going, and I'd land myself in a hospital. There was a couple of years there where I was in the ER every month because I would just get so wiped out. I'd be so out of spoons that I would not be able to pick myself up. And now, even with ECW, I do that a lot. I overdo it a lot. But I am getting better at saying, I cannot do this anymore. I need a break. I gotta sit down. I gotta stop. I gotta take a break. But it doesn't stop me, because my philosophy is that if I'm gonna sit on my butt and wallow about it, then all I'm gonna be thinking about is what's going on wrong, what's hurting, what I'm upset about, why my doctors aren't doing what they should be doing, all this stuff. Instead, I can be serving the community. I can be going out there helping people, helping other people, making their lives better.
Like Terrell?
Like Terrell. She's amazing. She helps us out a lot, and I consider her a very close friend now. If you're out there in the community, helping the community, you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about others, and I think that's a big part of how I survive.
That's a big part of how you survive, is thinking about others.
Mm-hmm.
There's a common trend there. It's interesting too. Not only are you a mother, which we didn't mention. You
She's
are also a wife, as we know, and one of the important parts about our disability is it affects others. I remember our family. I remember when my wife, I was like, wife, you don't know how I feel about being visually impaired. She goes, don't ever say that to me again, because I live with you every day. So I see it. So Joel, you're Backwoods brother, but I was going to ask you, how do you cope as a family together with...
there's challenges and stuff, and there's times when there's like, we have things we got to get done, and we're trying to figure out how to do it, and sometimes it's trying to pick up where I can, or I'm so busy with everything that are going on.
You both are a power couple.
Brandy's trying to
literally
figure it out, but I think the big thing is when Brandy knows she needs to take her time to go hide in the bath and take a bath.
That's how I do it.
Basically, leave her alone.
That bath time.
Give her that time.
But she can hear from the bathroom too, so you can't tell secrets while she's in there. She's like, I heard that. I'm like, isn't she supposed to be relaxing? Yeah, but anyways,
But the other part is too is sometimes grabbing her and saying, hey, she's like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. So it's like, no, no, you don't. They can wait.
Yeah.
Group your things together. Just kind of saying, sometimes
He does it a lot.
It's telling her, it's not that important. They can wait, or you need to slow yourself down, or you need to put it off, or you need to figure out another way that you can do that, because you can't go back and forth to the ECW office to meet 15 people in one day.
I've done that.
You need to put it into one thing. They can come to you at one time, or they can pick a different day, because you need your time to recover, because what's going to happen if you go down?
Yeah. I actually had an example of that happen today, because I had 2 people that wanted to donate for a cooling center coming up, and also one of those 2 people was donating to a mom that's in need right now, and they both said they wanted to meet me. So I said, okay, come to the office at 3, I'll be there. I get there at 3, and they both had to change the times, couldn't make it. And so I'm like, that's fine, we'll set up another time, but I'm not going to sit and wait, because also my mom's in town visiting, so I want to spend time with her. And then one of them messaged me and says, well, I can meet you now. And I'm like, nope, sorry, we're going to have to do it a different day. And the old me would have been like, yeah, sure, I'll be right there. If my mom wasn't here, I can't lie, I probably would have run over there and done it. But, I know for me, I'm having to learn how to say, okay, there's only so much I can do, and if I continue down that path, I'm not going to be able to help anybody. Yeah. So I have to find a balance there.
Oxygen mask.
It's been hard. Yeah.
Oxygen mask. He said a good point. Oxygen mask to himself before you help others. So
yeah, it's hard though, because you want to do everything, and it's hard too. There's a lot of pressure on when you have a nonprofit like ECW. There's a lot of pressure because everybody has these expectations for you, and we have so much we're already doing. They want. Well, why aren't you doing this? Like, why aren't you doing all this for the animals? I'm like, well, that's not our niche. And we have an awesome lady we work with that does rescue animals. Right. So, I'm having to learn how to be like, okay, I can't please everybody. Yeah. We can't be 5,000 places at once.
You can't do everything. Yeah. You get nothing done.
And that's for all of us, but with a disability is even more of a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're actually up against the clock here.
Already?
Yep, already.
Did you even know? What?
So I know.
You're the bearer of bad news. You might as well just bring us out.
Time has cut us a little short here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remind everybody to like, subscribe, share.
Yes.
And
merch.
Don't forget to go to backwoodsbrothers.com and check out our merch. There's lots of great stuff. And then when we come back, we're actually gonna have Terrell and Brandy on, and we'll get a chance to talk a little more about it. So go ahead and send in your questions, and we'll go ahead and see you guys when we get back on.
Oops.
I so often hear people send the message like, thank God that's not me, when they see someone with a disability, or like, thank God that's not me or my kid. And that's sending the message that disability is equal to someone who is less than or broken or incomplete, and that's not the case.
Well, I have cerebral palsy. It affects me pretty much from the hips down, and also just like fine motor control and things like that.
So I have Tourette's syndrome, which is a neurological disorder, which means I do movements and noises that I can't control.
I have cerebral palsy as well as left hemiparesis and nystagmus, which means that my whole left side is weaker than my right.
I have a very aggressive form of lupus, and I have a blood clotting disorder associated with my lupus. And 4 years ago, I had a clot in my foot. And then this happened in over 8 months and 11 surgeries. This was the end.
Lupus is hard to wrap your head around.
The simplest way I describe it is
love having Tourette's. I love that I'm 4'7". I love my obsessive compulsive disorder. And I think that's the case that many of us have embraced our disabilities.
I've had my disability since I was born, and it's a part of me.
My brain is quick and witty and wildly inappropriate, and it also has Tourette's. And at some point, I decided not to just love parts of my brain. A lot of times I see kids staring at me. That's okay with me.
I welcome it. Kids are curious.
But what I struggle with is when a parent shushes them or quickly pulls them in the other direction.
When a child is hustled away from a person or hushed, it stigmatizes even just asking the question.
Because kids then associate disability with feeling ashamed.
And if they've never seen anything like this before, they're going to look. And if they have questions, let them ask. There's nothing wrong with that.
So instead, I hope that parents say things like, how cool that we all move differently and walk differently and talk differently. More than just like normalizing disability, but celebrating it.
This is hard, but you're not alone.
I get answers. We date. People with disabilities date, and not always other people with disabilities.
Just because I have a disability doesn't mean I have to be paired with somebody with a disability.
Direct message to everyone in my life, but if you're gonna set me up on a blind date, please have more criteria than this guy also has a disability.
Not every single person with a disability is in a wheelchair. I am not in a wheelchair. I've never been in a wheelchair.
If one more person calls me an inspiration after just meeting me, I'm gonna burn your house down.
We aren't inherently inspirational or brave because we are disabled, which is kind of the idea that people think about when they say that.
It's okay to call me an inspiration once you know me or know something about me, but genetics does not make me an inspiration. Let me earn that word.
There are people who are actually doing amazing, brave things out there, whether they have a disability or not.
But it comes across to a disabled person as, wow, I'm so happy that I'm not in your shoes.
I get a lot of strangers trying to help me up the steps by grabbing my arm or my waist or something, and that's extremely inappropriate.
You can say, hey, do you need some help? Rather than just either forcing my chair or ignoring me. It took me a while to actually call myself a person with a disability, but I'm a person first. Being an amputee is secondary.
I'd rather have somebody say I'm a person with a disability rather than being disabled because of the whole control and ownership issue.
I hear differently abled. Ugh, the word is disability.
I used to call myself like differently abled, and some people didn't like that, and I'm just like, but I am different. And they're like, no, you're not. And it took me a while to actually see that I was using very able-bodied terms.
It should be a descriptor, just like I'm right-handed, I have a disability. When we're talking about disabilities, I hear the word that we want to be accommodating, which is great, or we're working on tolerance. Nobody wants to just be tolerated. Like, I tolerated those 3 years my sister was learning to play the trombone. I tolerate going to the dentist. None of these things are things I like, they're things I tolerate because I know that I have to deal with. So there's such an important step in communities between opening the door to somebody with a disability and like embracing them and building a community with them in mind.
Leaders are very unique people. They have a very simple distinction, and that is their thinking is different. Leaders do not think like followers. Leaders used to be followers, all of them. But what made them cross the line was a certain mentality that kicked in somewhere. Something happened to them that made them
can't do this to me. I still own me. They can't control me. I will do everything in my power to say no any way that I can. Thankfully, my family was amazing, and they could see it, and they said no, and they fought for me, and it paid off. Hopefully, I think it paid off. I have an amazing family, and because they will laugh and joke about everything. But the lowest part for me was the day the doctors gave up. I mean, that's next to the opiate crisis, and then refusing to give any pain meds. So when you destroy your shoulder, if you don't have any surgery, they won't give pain meds. So
ridiculous.
They will give none because I can't have a surgery, and that's been hard because when you can't sleep and you can't wheel a chair and you can't do anything, and they say, well, have surgery. No, I can't. There's like surgery in 3 months. Don't use my arm. Well, exactly how am I going to do? I'm going to circle for 3 months. I mean. So, you know, it's that when they don't think out of the box. But it didn't take me long to say, you know what? Once again, you're not going to stop me. I'm going to find a way to get through this. And I have. I mean, does it hurt? Yeah, but you know what? Pain is the primary sign of life. And some days I am way more alive than others.
Amen to that.
That's well said. That is well said.
That is.
So, I guess same question to you, Brandy.
Okay, so mine's a little different. The lowest point, I would say, dealing with my disability, or probably like when I felt the most pissed off that I was sick, was when I was pregnant.
Huh?
A lot of people with lupus, when they're pregnant, they go through sort of a remission. They do a lot better. I did not. I had some moments where I did better, but I actually was very, very ill for the first 6 months where they were worried I wasn't going to gain any weight. I was actually losing weight. But the biggest thing was, with lupus, there's certain medications that we have to take.
Yeah.
I had to be medicated while I was pregnant. I didn't like that, but I was working with 3 or 4 specialists?
I want to say 3.
I had 3 specialists on board. One of them was a high-risk maternal fetal medicine doctor that specialized in lupus patients. And all of them were like, okay, this is what you're going to be on for during your pregnancy. These are the medications you need to take to stay alive and to be able to function. And that's the way we're going to do this. And it's safe in this way. And the little risks are here. They laid it out very clear for me. And, you know, Joel and I both agreed this is what we have to do to keep me alive and keep baby alive and everything like that. The biggest thing for me was I had a certain family member basically tell me that I was murdering my child. And when we tried to explain to him, my doctor said, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're following what the doctors are saying. This is what we got to do. And is my life not important? It really felt like he never understood my illness. He thought he never got it. My mom was always advocating that he just didn't get it. It was my dad. And he disowned me, because of my illness, ultimately, because if it wasn't for that, that would have never happened. So I think that was probably, that would be the lowest point, because I had this illness, I had to take these medications to stay alive. My dad basically called me somebody horrible. And anybody who knows me knows that being a mom is like the biggest thing to me. I also lost a few babies. We lost a few. We miscarried a couple times. So Riley, our daughter, is a miracle. She's amazing, and she's bright and smart and wonderful, and nothing is wrong with her. And to have that happen, it was just heartbreaking. And he's still not in our life.
I didn't know, first of all, I didn't know that happened to both of you in terms of miscarriage. And so that explains the hands-on approach with your daughter that you have. Your daughter knows that she is adored by both of you.
Oh, yeah.
But especially loved by Mama Bear.
Yeah.
And so that makes a whole lot of sense why that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I fought for her.
way,
We did. We loved it.
5 miscarriages.
Yeah.
Huh?
5 miscarriages.
5 miscarriages.
That's another thing, like with lupus, you have a high chance of miscarriage. We didn't really technically know that at the time. We learned over time that the reason it was happening is because there's something that happens in lupus patients, usually in the first trimester, that will attack the fetus. We didn't know that until later on down the stage, and we learned from my maternal fetal medicine doctor that's why that happened.
Toxic environment.
Yeah.
So
Toxic.
toxic environment.
I gotta say this, and statistically, those who have encountered death, especially 5 miscarriages, statistically, marriages don't work out because it's a hardship. It's you're grieving together. How in the world did you survive and weather that time together?
We've been through
everything.
A metric shit ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between Brandy's challenges, between challenges with parents, between dealing with being deployed in the military, other crazy family situations, dealing with stuff I hear, work challenges, owning businesses. I mean, there's been so much that Brandy have gone through it, but in the end, it's a choice that we make to not let it be something that breaks us apart, but instead lays another layer to our foundation to strengthen our marriage.
Yeah.
So
we also made a choice when we first got married that God was the center, and that we would never ever walk away.
We heard God again come up in that's our foundation. One of the things Joel, and I would have to turn it over to you, brother, but one of the things Joel said to me yesterday, and actually it rings so true. Joel said, a last straw in relationship for him is when someone questions his loyalty. And so that really is, the proof's in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gone about many times and taken it more times than I can remember for people, and
it's important.
Anyways. Yeah. So back to what we're talking about here. Just
right. Turn into an Oprah moment right there.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Oprah's got to run for our money on this one.
Oh shoot! I know. Backwards Brothers. We're better 1,000 times.
Tell me, ADA. How's it? And Tony, you're on this one too.
Yeah.
How's ADA? Kind of helped you guys with your disabilities.
Okay, can I backtrack really fast? One of my lowest moments, I think, it resonates with you. 2, but I'll just give a short one. When my daughter was just 2-3 months ago, possibly diagnosed with glaucoma, because my glaucoma is congenital. So my grandfather had glaucoma, I got it, and I was always fearful that I would pass that on, or she would pass it on. So when I got the news that she possibly could have it, or she did have it, that's what I would say one of my lowest moments, because one of the things you don't want to pass on is a life struggle, knowing that she is resilient just in case. And I thought, well, morbidly, that we'll have something in common, so it would be kind of fun, but at the same time, I'm like, that's not something you want to pass on to your daughter.
No.
So that was one of them. And then the other real fast was when I had to give up my eye because of an injury in it. I couldn't see out of this eye anyway, but when I gave it up, here's Jesus in my life. When I gave it up, and I mean this, I made a decision to have this eye removed. I said, God, you better get the glory from this, or you're a terrible God. And you said that you're not. So I'm gonna go ahead and believe it, but I'm gonna give it up. And when I gave up my eye, I believe I gave up my weakness. I gave up my weakness. This is my strength, because it's His. So.
And you say you lost an injury. I thought it's because you just wanted to be a pirate.
Well, I wanted to be a pirate so bad that I had to look the part too. So actually, my bro got an eye patch for me. You could see it on our website. If I might even give it away. Anyways, so ADA, how ADA has helped me. Well, one, I went to a school that was for the blind and deaf, and that's where I found my. That's where I found my first blind date. I cannot talk.
Speaking is also a disability.
Speaking is a disability for me too. So that's where I found my first blind date as well. But just having a school that was accessible, that taught me my rights as a disabled person. And they taught me how to travel using a cane. They taught me how to advocate for myself. Now, I always say this, Terrell, and I say this to you as well, Brandy, but we don't want special accommodations. We want reasonable accommodations.
Right.
So ADA provides for me reasonable, and for you reasonable accommodations.
Right.
That's how it's healthy.
But it's so subjective. It's so frustrating because what the able-bodied person feels is reasonable versus what we need for it to be reasonable. Don't always latch it up. Things like my daughter going to outdoor school. The outdoor school wasn't accessible, so what was offered to her was a day at the aquarium while her friends went to outdoor school for a week. Because I thought that was reasonable. I said, no, that's not the same experience.
No.
So how do we make it the same experience? And I wrote out a plan, and they agreed with it. But it's just what we need. Everybody's disability. You can see line up 1,000 people in wheelchairs. Every single person will have something a little different they need. No two people with the same diagnosis has the same need. Talk to the individual. But businesses subjectively look at something. Just because something is ADA accessible does not mean it's wheelchair accessible.
Right.
Because a bathroom that has arm rails on it is considered ADA accessible. But let me tell you, I am not an Olympic gymnast. So if I go into a really long stall and the toilet's right in front of me and it's got bars, I cannot do the iron cross to transfer to get onto the toilet.
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
My gosh. What a
And so
picture. Yes.
Who decides that it fits the ADA though?
Yeah.
It's long enough for my wheelchair, and it's got two. It doesn't matter that I can't turn and transfer or anything. You've got to be able to do the iron cross, and it's like no. So, it's that whole ADA has improved so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it wheelchair accessible. It doesn't make it accessible for the blind always. Yeah, and what's accessible to me isn't accessible to my daughter always.
What do you think is a pit? Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, so you gave a really good example of this, and a video we had done with you ahead of time never came out. Sorry, guys. Computer glitch. But they're over in Hood River. I think is where you saw this.
Oh yeah.
There's
that was wonderful.
The way that the roads are in Hood River is it's a hill. And so they have these row buildings, and most of them don't have a way, or half of them might say have a way. The other ones have steps to get into there. So it just killed me when you said this. And there's
These are businesses.
Business
that has a sign that says, for wheelchair ramp, ask inside.
Inquire within.
Inquire within.
What?
How? Yeah.
But how do you inquire within if you can't get in with a wheelchair?
Yes.
Right.
So it's
well.
Some things. I mean,
things that make you go.
And I think they probably met their ADA requirement by having them available, but
wow,
they missed the point.
Common sense.
It's things like hotels. We were talking about
Yes.
this. So when I travel with my kid and somebody else with us, so there's three of us. We need more than one bed.
Right.
Handicap, bathrooms that have wheelchair access, handicapped rooms with wheelchair access have one bed. So when you're traveling with the family with a child, they say, well, you have to pay for a second room. Oh, excuse me, why should I pay for a second room? Why can't you get 2 beds in these rooms?
Yeah.
Give us that option to be a family. There's an assumption that if you're traveling in a wheelchair that
you're not
married, you don't have a family. And it becomes very frustrating because we are very family oriented. It seems that people with disabilities, men or women, when they have kids, they are the most hands-on, interactive, because we know how precious every ounce of ability and milestone is in that child.
Yeah.
We value that because we know kids who haven't achieved those. And I think we treasure it more, and so we do more with our kids. But when you try to get a hotel room and they have 1 bed, what do? Do I put my kid in another room with somebody else supervisor? Some days I thought, go for it. But the hotel would kick us out at midnight. She'd be out knocking on doors saying, you're making an awful lot of noise in there. Can you guys be quiet? It's like, but you know, things like that. It's like they've met the ADA.
Right.
But is it reasonable that we should be required to get 2 rooms just because we're in a wheelchair?
It requires a little like common sense and compassion. And having the vision enough to say, okay, maybe I need to step out of my experience and look at what this experience is like. And you're very right. People, for some reason, assume disabled people don't have families. They don't. They think we're single.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and I don't understand that at all.
Or they think we were going to marry someone who's disabled.
Yes.
We have a perfect disabled person for you.
Yeah.
You get a disabled person. You get
When I was Sam in New York City has a wheelchair. Do you know Sam?
Yeah,
that's true.
Sure.
That is
Right.
true.
Yes.
I always get that. I get like, okay, when I was a teenager and I first started dating, there's this great guy with lupus. He lives 18,000 miles away, but he's really sweet and he's got lupus just like you. Or, you know.
Do you know him?
Do you know him? Have you met him? No, I haven't met every person with lupus. I don't know them all. And our experiences are different.
Well, you know, you're telepathically linked.
Telepathically linked.
Apparently.
Well, what's really funny is always when they ask you that, and you know, it's like you just look and go, yeah. And then they're just like, oh. Sometimes you just gotta go with the humor because.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, would you walk up to an able-bodied guy and go, hey, there's a brunette that lives in New York.
Do you know
him?
We all get it together at some brunette convention.
Right.
I mean, some blind or deaf or whatever. But how does ADA, how did it help you, impact you?
I think there's a lot of work. Honestly, ADA's there, right? And like she said, they have basic requirements, but they need to be flexible. There needs to be more to it.
Yeah.
And there needs to be, also, I think general population needs to be educated.
Yeah.
Because the ADA can be there all day long, but you and I both know people don't follow it.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. Like, for example, there was a time here in our town that we have a few food carts. And I went to go park next to one of them. Mm-hmm. There was a handicap spot right there, right next to this food cart. And I do not walk more than a few feet without having to stop. I can't go very far. I'm really close to having to be, I use a chair sometimes. I'm really close to having to be almost permanently in a chair. So I don't walk very far. And I pull up into the handicap spot, and this guy comes out of the business right next to the food cart and goes, oh, no, go. Just like that. Like, get out of here. And I'm like, I'm handicapped. I have a handicap placard. This is a handicap spot. He says, you're not my customer, so go.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
well, he had the legal
had the legal right to do that, but are you kidding?
Yeah, exactly. It's
There's
no compassion or consideration.
4 spots there. Mm-hmm. None of them were taken. He could clearly see I had my cane with me. I wasn't like, you could see it. A lot of my illness is invisible, but he could see that I was disabled. I had the handicap placard. I said, I'm just going right there. He did not give a crap. He was just like, get out, go. And then when I came back, I drove off because I was pissed. I'll admit, I was pissed, and I just shook my head at him, and I left. I didn't say anything else. I should have said more because it wasn't right the way I was treated. But because, disabled people also get treated a lot worse than able-bodied people. I mean, we can go on for hours about that, but we're talked down to like we're children. And so I get back in the car, I drive off, I was angry, I shook my head, I came back 5 minutes later, and he put cones in that spot. No one was using it. It was not for any purpose, but he put cones in the spot.
Which essentially just blocked out anybody like me who wanted to use it. If it was going to his business.
What if he had a customer?
I couldn't have got the cone out. Got out and moved the cone.
And I'm just like, are you, like, there's certain things, it's like, was that necessary? Was my 5 minutes in that space so bad that he had to block the space for anybody to be able to access it?
Yeah.
And that was the only handicapped space anywhere.
Yeah.
Food carts, though, are a thing that bother me because, one, food carts, I can go to a food cart. They are above my head.
Yes.
I cannot go, and there's never a parking spot where I can get my lift out.
Yes.
The tables, you can't get around the tables that are out there.
No.
It's just like, I would love to go to the food carts, but literally, no, even at a fair. There's a couple at Clackamas County Fair that actually have ramps.
Right.
You can bet every year, whether I want their food or not, I will pay for it. I will go and buy food there just because they put that extra out to put ramps.
Right.
Because it makes a huge difference for anybody.
Absolutely.
Dwarfism.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so many different scenarios. It's not just in a chair either.
Yeah. Little kids.
Do they make the accommodation at least to bring the food around to you?
If they see you. I've had people that literally, I can pull up, I can text, they will bring my food straight out to me. They are amazing. We are really, really fortunate.
Yes, we are.
Not all of them are that way. It's a lot of it is the awareness.
Yep.
We have several food cart owners who happen to have family members with disabilities.
Right.
Yeah.
They understand.
Because they
and
see
that is, I think, the big thing is when people are familiar and others sit and talk with them.
Yeah.
I had one of the food cart guys I sat and talked with, and he's like, I can let the air out of my tires and drop this thing down quite a ways.
Yeah.
It makes it accessible.
Right.
You know, it's just that open communication, but both sides have to. You know, the ADA has been a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is there are so many ways around the ADA.
Yeah.
Things like buildings will say, well, I'm grandfathered in. I don't have to make it accessible. I went to one office where as a person with a wheelchair had to park out in the back by the dumpster and ring a bell on the back door and then wait there until somebody let me in.
It makes no sense.
And that's
too.
considered reasonable accommodation. And I'm sorry. My question is always, and I don't want to sound racist, but it's because it's like what people are more aware of. I said, so what if person of color walked up and you said, oh, I'm sorry, you have to use the back door. Would that be acceptable?
Right.
No. Then why is it acceptable for somebody in a chair?
But, you know, that's very interesting you say this. Even back in biblical times, we all know the Bible here, but even back in biblical times, they would treat those who were disabled as less than.
Yep.
You were considered a bottom feeder. One of the things that is my pet peeve for a blind person is when I ask for directions and they go, it's right over there. I'm like, where? Can you give me like some direction? Oh, it's over there across this and try. Like, well,
and I think to touch on that, because I'm guilty as that myself while I'm learning, and I think to touch on it is something where she said is awareness.
Yeah.
And awareness and understanding and learning and education and just kind of getting to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a great thing to teach in schools is how to be aware of people that have, you know, different disabled. You know, how to interact and be aware and to understand and have a perspective on it.
Yeah.
And even then, after I spend so much time around you, Tony, but I still will say, oh, can you, well, what's going on? Or I'll drive by, like, hey, did you see that? I'm like, duh. But I can stop myself right in the middle of the sentence too sometimes and go, oh, duh, over there, you know.
But the other point to that is,
make sure you can see it.
Yeah, and people are going to get to know our lives because we're going to be on every week. But I used to get really upset with you about that. And then I realized this, and it goes right back to it. Why am I getting upset to someone that honestly, genuinely doesn't know?
Right.
Because what if that was his only encounter was me getting upset with him?
Exactly.
Will he help another visually impaired or another disabled person? So we are our own best or worst PR.
That's true.
Exactly, and you make a good point is to definitely to take in that, to have a reverse compassion as much as we had that compassion for what you're trying to work with and everything is trying to understand that we're trying to learn it. We're trying to understand it and understand what we should be doing and what's the good steps to take and what's not good steps to take. And every disability is different too, such as, being in a chair is gonna be different than someone who's vision impaired, versus someone who, deals with pain on a constant basis. All those are gonna be a different challenges, and so.
Well, what about yours, which is unseen too?
Yeah, which is PTSD, and
Yes.
understanding the challenges that come with that one. And PTSD has 1,000,001 things that have come with it, and they still don't understand it all as much as many. And so for the person who doesn't have a disability, to try to understand everybody else's disability, that's a massive learning piece to learn all that. So there's a reverse compassion and understanding. Okay, maybe they just haven't encountered someone with my challenge, and that let's take a minute to grow them.
Joel, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
To the PTSD point, because I know we had a show on it when we first got when we first started. Our first show was on PTSD.
Well, it was on veterans.
Or veterans, and that was the comorbid idea of veteran PTSD. But one of the things we were in a youth group one day, and I was a youth leader, and one of the kids, if you unplug something from an amp, it makes a popping sound. And one of our kids unplugged something from an amp, and this perfectly abled body who was a veteran, or actually a military gentleman who was very great, he was awesome in our youth group and very, very much a key leader, went into fight or flight mode, and he did a barrel roll and basically got himself armed. And how we handled that is very discreet and low key. I love how we handled that, because we handled it like a person with a disability. He wasn't a danger to himself or others. He was, and I hate to use this word because we use it in derogatory terms, but he was triggered. I hate to use that word now, and I wish we would use that word a little bit better. But he was triggered. And so we treated it like the unseen disability, but the potential is we don't see it coming, and if we don't know it, we'll villainize it.
Yeah, and I mean, for someone who has the PTSD and has those, lack of a word, triggers, or basically something that can set us off on an episode, we can teach ourselves ways to deal with it. Like when I first got home, the fireworks, the first 4th of July was like a month or two after I got back. It sucked.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for over a year and a half, those sounds meant you did X, and you responded X way, and you had a certain things that you thought you had to put yourself into, and mindsets and so on. When you're in war zone, those are gunshots or explosions. So I basically hid in the back room and occupied myself with putting up a blind or something. I didn't enjoy it at all. These days, I can go out and I can enjoy it better because I know it's coming and I know what it means, and if my mind goes there, I can bring myself back. But that's over a decade of getting treatment on that. But even like we use, COVID as an example. Just before COVID, I didn't realize that I actually have a condition. I can't put things in my face anymore. I used to be able to do it just fine. Did it in Afghanistan, did it for years until I got back. Never had a problem. Something changed and triggered that when I put things on my face, and if I don't have a positive control on them, if I don't hold it, then, and I didn't, even when it first started happening, I didn't realize if I had positive control, I was able to deal with that. That I was having panic attacks, and I would feel like I was suffocating, and there's too much stuff going on, and things that I used to, like sunglasses. I had to wear sunglasses that I don't see the frames, because otherwise it's too much. Too much of my who have been there are constantly on edge. People with PTSD are constantly on edge.
Yeah.
So that's why and it's like having an automatic response.
Exposed.
The amount of exposure very.
Yes.
And for me, when I go someplace fire hazard, I'm like, it's not going to combust, but it's considered a fire hazard. So they want me to transfer out into and then they take my chair away.
Yeah.
And I cannot focus on what we're doing because all of a sudden I have no legs, and all I can see is there's a fire, I can't get out. If there's fire, I can't get my kid out. If anything's happening, I can't get out. I'm now, how am I going to get out? And it's a sheer panic. And it's like a little thing. But at the same time, because I'm in my chair is there, and somebody's going to eventually bring it back to me. But part of it is that somebody. Who's somebody? Who is that somebody? And when? It's not going to be when I want to leave. It's when they get a chance to bring it back to me, because I can't go get somebody to bring it to me. And it leaves me with that whole panic to where it's like the world closes in, and I can't focus on what is there, and it's the worst feeling, because you feel like somebody has robbed you of every ounce of independence and you cannot breathe. Yes. And it's how do you get people to understand that you're not being rude? 2 hours later, the fire's out. A fireman happens to come up and he sees me, he goes, "What are you doing up here?" I'm like, "Waiting for you," and he goes, "Nobody even told us you were here."
Of course.
Of course they didn't.
And I am now scared to death to stay in a high rise. I'm paranoid to stay in a high rise.
I think they've started making changes, like in Las Vegas when I worked there. The elevators, I think for the fire, especially on the higher floors, I think they would go and they wouldn't go up, but they would definitely, I think they go down. It's been a while, so I forget exactly how it worked out, but there was something that they said where the elevators would go down and take you to the ground floor. And if you push that button and it hasn't passed, it would stop for you, get on, and it'll take you down, but it will not go back up.
Right, and what has happened with that, because they do have that, and what happens is it fills with able-bodied people.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly, and they don't need it.
Do not get off,
You,
and we're left. And we don't have an option on the stairs.
You don't have an option.
Same thing with vision. You're not going to want to try to go down a massive stairs. You're not going to want to try to go down the stairs.
No,
And
I couldn't.
For people to be aware that if you can take the stairs, take the stairs. We can't.
Yeah.
We don't have that option.
Well, there's an example, like, this is not like danger, but like anytime I go to the airport, I have to be wheeled in a wheelchair because I can't walk around the airport, and I'm not gonna, I could bring my chair, but it's a motorized scooter, and it's a pain in the butt.
I think we did that once.
Yeah, we brought it once, and it was just so much work because you have to take it all down, and you're scared that they're gonna break it, and that's a really expensive piece of equipment, and it's like terrifying. And I'm sure you feel that.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
She had. Yep.
And so
Yes.
I luckily have the choice to be able to show up and be wheeled in a wheelchair. But the problem is that you literally get put into a line of people in wheelchairs, and you have to sit there and wait for their attendant to come, and that's their only job, by the way. But they treat you like you're a total pain in the butt.
You're a rock.
So you're waiting in this big long line of people for that person to come wheel you through the airport to get to your gate. And there's been several times where I've waited up to the last minute, and I'm like, crap, I'm not going to make my flight. So I'm sitting there panicking, stressed out, freaking out, and there's nothing I can do. I can't get up and walk. It looks like I can, but I can't. And I'm literally, all I can do is sit there and wait and pray that they're going to come take me. And then you get 9 times out of 10, you get someone wheeling you that hates their job and takes it out on you. And first of all, it's not my fault I'm in this chair. It's not my fault I need to be wheeled. It's not my fault that the airport is 5 million miles long.
Well, it's not your fault they took that job.
Right. And
Yeah,
they treat you
exactly.
like, God forbid, they have to wheel somebody. It's just crazy.
Speaking of, it's not my fault. There was a post that you read that basically said that 90%.
Oh my gosh.
What was that?
Somebody made a post yesterday about health journeys and why doesn't your doctor tell you to take magnesium and why doesn't he tell you this? And they talk about all these natural supplements that cure illnesses, and it said 90% of all illnesses are caused by your own bad behavior. And it made me so mad. I got on there and I was very calm and I said, great information for people that are able-bodied to help with certain things like some muscle cramps and stuff. But I'm sorry, where did you get this 90% from? I would love to see your source. Because I'm going to tell you right now, people like me, I could die any day from my illness. That's just a reality. It's not scary. I don't sit and wallow in it. I'm not a victim about it. It's just a reality of my life. And you're telling people to stop seeing their doctor, stop taking the medications they're supposed to take, stop doing what they have to do to keep their lives, keep themselves living, and
meter. Your faith meter is low. And Amy piped up before I could and said, well, you know what? I'm sorry, we don't receive that. But I cannot manipulate God by my faith.
Exactly.
He's God alone. I don't need to manipulate him. So what he did was he healed my perception about my living testimony, perception about my disability.
Exactly. That's
I'm not
so
a victim.
True. Because I've had the same thing happen. Yeah. Even churches that we were members of would say, Brandy, get up here and we'll pray for you. And I grew up Pentecostal and all that stuff, which if you know about Pentecostals, we're crazy. And I accept that. I love it. I still claim to be a Pentecostal because I'm a big worshiper.
Yeah.
But growing up Pentecostal, you also grow up in these churches where they touch their head and they're like, "Ooh, we're gonna pray and you're gonna speak in tongues and you're gonna do all this crazy stuff and you're gonna magically be healed." God doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't work that way. First of all, second of all, God's healing, like you said, could be a change in perception, a giving of a heart, that of service, like I have, of giving you the tools to get through this illness, to help other people, to serve other people, to be there for other people. Who's to say that my illness is something that needs to be fixed?
Ooh. Oh, exactly. And going into the same type of description, it's like, you know, they make the joke, "Don't ever ask God for patience because He's going to give it to you." But it's not something. It's not something He just goes, suddenly, boom, you're going to be patient. No, He says He's going to give you the opportunity to learn to be patient. So He's going to give you everything out there.
Yes.
So you're definitely.
And if my child wasn't at church, you would think that she could have made the changes for people that she has made.
Yeah.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah. So sometimes it's like other people need enough faith to see that we're on God's mission.
Yep.
When God's done with this mission, He just may well heal us.
Yeah. Open, deaf ears open. We want people to have that faith, but at the same time, it's Jesus who does it.
Yeah.
I'm just the vessel. So whether He does or not, I'm just the vessel. So there we go.
So I grew up in the Quaker church.
Yeah.
You didn't pray for healing or this or that. You prayed, God's will be done.
Yes.
God's will be done.
Yes.
That was what you prayed.
Yep. God's will be done.
Well,
God's will be done.
I think the best way that I could possibly put it was, don't put my God in your box.
Ooh, I like that.
Because, God does not fit in a box.
To the sidewalk that's there.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
And so anybody in a chair now cannot go up that sidewalk. We have to go out towards the highway, across town, and cross at the next corner.
Matter of fact, we are starting a new Facebook page, as if you guys don't have enough Facebook pages. But we're going to start a new Facebook page called Access Estacada. And that is for people with disabilities to be able to get on. And not necessarily a big rant fest, but at the same time, let's make it a solution-oriented group.
Was it the
Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion
Remember the words of it.
Yes.
They're an advisory committee for our council.
Yes.
And they're supposed to be dealing with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right now, they're still organizing together. But one of the ladies that's a part.
Remodeling can be expensive and it's hard to look at and everything. It really shows challenges, but it never hurts to get the advice, especially if they're going to volunteer for it.
Right.
And but we are bumping up against our clock right now, so it went quick, and we had some great conversations about it. I think the biggest thing, if we could end this thing, would be to the conversation needs to continue.
Yeah.
And not just with us, with people in their lives that have the different disabilities. Go out and have that conversation. We're always saying start a conversation. That's our tagline, start a conversation. Mm-hmm. Start a conversation about this with someone that is a friend, a family, even someone you may not have that relationship with, but want to know more. Ask somebody, to teach you, so you can learn more, so you can grow more, and you can get the perspective that maybe you've never had before. Yeah. So, because the world doesn't revolve around one person. We all have to live in this world together.
Yes.
And we all have their different perspectives. So, with that, I think we're gonna thank everybody for joining us. There's a like, subscribe, follow.
Catch us live. It's all good.
The 1st, we are 25th. We're gonna have back.
That was